Lucy, the moment we've all been waiting for, the reveal of our new name. Should we reveal our new name?
We don't have the graphic for it, but we promised people at the watch party we'd tell them this week.
A lot of people were chanting foot at us. We did not like it, and we said, we are done with foot girls officially. Stop chanting that at us. Do not yell. Let me see your feet at us while we're on stage.
Hated that.
At the watch along. Mike Ryan, you will burn in hell for your sins.
We will never say the F word again.
Never.
The worst four-letter F word I can think of.
How do you feel about our new name?
I like it.
You like it?
I wish we would have. This was a suggestion from Mike Fuentes, and we probably should have taken it earlier.
I think we considered it, but we were like, maybe something better will hit us, and then nothing better hit us. So we were like, this was a solid choice all along.
We were basically like Jim Harbaugh with the NFL offers. We were like, we're going to play the field, see what comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't what I thought. Let's go to Michigan.
Do you like the new name, Taylor? Do you know what it is?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, Mike Fuentes pitched it to me early on.
All right. How do you want to? I'll count you. I'll count you down. I'll do like a drum roll. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Gen CFB. Boom! If we had a graphic, it would have popped up right now. It would have looked so cool.
Confetti, fireworks.
If you're watching on video, close your eyes. Audio people, imagine it.
Angel's working on it right now. He's been very busy making t-shirts and stuff for the merch store. So
it's been working.
We have a new name. It's Gen CFB.
I think it's great.
Like generation, not like Jennifer.
Yeah.
Important distinction because you can't see it written out. So I thought I'd share that.
GENCFB. Is it one word or two? I think it's two.
I think we're going to do two, maybe all caps.
Yeah.
Gen CFB.
It doesn't acknowledge that we're women at all. And I think that's pretty sick.
I think that was what we were looking for all along. I like that. We have a lot to talk about today.
We do.
I didn't even realize until like 1 second before we were taping this that currently it's December 14th, which means that there's bowl games in like less than 12 hours from when you're listening to this, because this comes out a little bit after we record it. Lucy, I haven't made my picks yet. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm scared. There's like 7 bowl games before our next segment, which is when I was like, oh, we should do all our bowl game recap then. No, that's too late. We should have done it now, but we didn't.
I had to do my pick'ems yesterday, and it was like a nice, like, swift kick in the ass from a friend. It was like, hey, you need to get this done.
You're late.
Because I noticed it for the first time last year, because normally you'll start off the bowl season, like, decently soon, but it's like some, Group of 5 schools. Not that Group of 5 schools aren't awesome and they're the best and we love them, but like we don't really start seeing some of the bigger names until later in
like after the
December.
first weekend sometimes.
But we've got like a UCLA Boise State game, I believe, on
the
Saturday.
LA Bowl,
the Gronk Bowl.
Yeah, we've got so many opt-outs, so many people in the portal, so many coaches that have left. Like UCLA's defensive coordinator is gone, their quarterback is gone, one of their quarterbacks, I should say. A bunch of their starters are out, and then Boise State's coach got fired like a month ago, and they have a new coach. Like, it's so confusing. I don't know how people make picks for bowl games anymore, including myself. It's hard.
So tough. Shameless plug. Someone bought a Cameo for me, and you can do that if you want to give your loved one.
You're on Cameo?
Yeah, the weirdest Christmas gift you can imagine. One where they're like, I don't know who that is. And they were like, we want you to introduce our bowl pick'ems, like help us.
That's a great idea.
Picks. And I went through and I was like, brother, I don't know. they're opting out. They're opting out. They're opting out. It doesn't mean we love it less. I like it because it's like a cute little preview for next season.
Yeah.
You see somebody who's like, oh, they haven't played much, but they'll be a starter next year. But yeah, tough to do bowl pick'ems these days.
There is a running tally on, I think Action Network has one right now with all of the opt-outs and all of the players that have gone in the portal and all the coaches that have left from each team. It doesn't really make it any easier because it's like, okay, this team's backup quarterback is playing and this team's third-string quarterback is playing. Good luck. Like, you're kind of just like guessing regardless based on, and a few of them, the spreads are huge and maybe you just pick a favorite in that case. Like, that's a good strategy, I suppose, but you just don't know. A lot of it's like conference vibes.
It's all vibes.
Team vibes, like who's going to be excited to play in this, who's not. Just go with the vibes. That's my advice if you're doing a bowl pick'em this year.
You got to look and be like, who's feeling the cheesiest out of these guys?
Cheese, 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 cheese.
NC State.
Okay, so there was a ton of stuff that happened this last weekend. You went to the Army-Navy game.
I did.
You thought it was interesting.
It was a very fun game. It was probably not a game that I enjoyed as much as the other people. I didn't have any sort of attachment to either team, and it didn't really feel like the type of game where I could like pick a side and switch and do that fine little thing. Definitely wouldn't have worked well. So it was very like no one in my family has served. I certainly haven't served. I mean, look at me. So there was
You are serving all the time, girl.
Thank you. But it's an awesome experience.
Gen CFB.
Like if you are if you're really patriotic, and if you love football, like if you enjoy the pageantry and the traditions of college football, then it's a game you should go to, because the singing of the songs at the end of the game, the prisoner swap, all the flyovers, all the parachuters, like it's really an awesome environment. Just tailgating wise, it wasn't the best for content. But
no one wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that those people represent our military, and probably being drunk on camera isn't a good idea.
It literally just means more.
Yeah, it just means
Perhaps.
way more. And the game itself, it was weird. That's what I expected.
It was weird.
It was odd. For the regular season of college football to end with a safety, it was like Kirk Ferentz screwed up himself, man. It was beautiful.
It was
Loved
perfect. Speaking of your buddy, they posted the Iowa offensive coordinator position on the internet for people to apply to. So someone should apply for Lucy on her behalf.
Yeah, so I will not be applying, because if you put a list of the people that Iowa fans dislike the most, I think if you did number 1, it might be me, and then number 2 might be Brian.
No,
Ferentz.
Lucy. Just like some weird people online.
So
Everyone loves Lucy.
I'm not going to apply for that job.
I love Lucy.
They have to. People are like, "Why are you posting this? You haven't found a person, a candidate." The only name that's been floated around right now is Scott Frost, and Pat McAfee reported it. So I'm choosing to believe it's fake, because I don't want to.
I liked your Paul Christ.
Paul
intel
Christ. I've
better.
also heard that one. Both of them make sense, because both of them like, for real. So they have to post the job because it is a public university job. So get in your applications now. Get in your jokes. If the last guy is any measure of what the qualification is, just write your dad's name. Just write your dad's
I was
name
going to
on your
ask
application,
you,
see
like,
if it works.
what do you think is like the ideal candidate other than son of Kirk?
Son-in-law, maybe? Nephew? I don't know. There's a lot of relatives you could choose for. I don't know if he has a brother. I don't know.
Well, the other thing that happened this weekend, other than I watched a little bit of the FCS playoffs. They're very fun to watch. Right now, the semifinal is going on, probably right after you listen to this. But the Heisman show was on Saturday night. And I have to say, probably the first time maybe in my life I didn't watch it. Because I watched the show a lot, and the show's very long. And I kind of am like, I don't know if I need to watch the show. I kind of just will find out via ESPN notification who won. But that's not to discredit Jaden Daniels, who I thought was a very deserving Heisman winner. He finished the season with 3,800 passing yards, over 1,000 rushing yards, 50 total touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions, leading this LSU team to a 9-3 record, which probably you think like, okay, a little lackluster for, a Heisman quarterback to not be in the playoff conversation late in the season, but like he won some big games for LSU, and I don't think he's the reason that they lost any of those games.
No, there was a great tweet. I don't want to take credit for it, but I can't remember who wrote it right now, and it was about how Jaden Daniels had photos of himself in his jacket, like doing the Heisman pose, and then how Michael Penix Jr. had like the names of his teammates.
Names.
And they were like, well, Jaden Daniels' teammates, Scott, he's not going to put the defense in there. What did they do? Not my tweet. I wish I could remember who wrote it, because it was so funny. The whole Jaden Daniels deserved the Heisman. That was the right choice. He had an electric ear. It's just, hey, you didn't have the supporting cast. We've seen it before. The only I watched it, and it's like, why do you tune in before 8:53? Like, I don't know why you would do that. The only moment that I liked was when Bo Nix's mom was like subtly talking shit about Auburn, and I was like, yeah, hell yeah, sister, let it all out. She was like, it was like he actually got to go to college when he went to Oregon. And I was like, bang, 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 love it. The Heisman award ceremony just doesn't really feel as flashy and fun anymore. I watched the college football award ceremony the night before. They got to do something to make that more fun. Boy, they got to do something to make that more fun. That was like, oh, God.
I think the thing that was interesting about all the finalists this year, except for Marvin Harrison Jr., was all 3 quarterbacks are transfers, and all of them in their second year with new teams. They all, for the most part, had good seasons last year, but then, this season, I thought all were deserving of being there as finalists. And
Absolutely.
So that's kind of an interesting thing. Not that, transferring isn't a new thing in college football, even though we kind of act like it is is, like, Baker Mayfield was a transfer.
Yeah.
Justin Fields was a transfer. Like, this has been happening for a while, especially at the quarterback position. But I think it is notable that, like, 3 of the best quarterbacks this year were all guys who I think especially, like, Bo Nix's case, like, really struggled with his first choice. And so he had the opportunity to leave and go somewhere else and excelled there. And it's cool to see people in that position have a second chance to, like, pick a better fit or go somewhere where they are able to have more success. Like Michael Penix went to Indiana. He was electric at Indiana for a while.
That 2020 year was crazy.
He made Tom Allen a lot of money, and he was, like, super fun to watch, but, like, had injuries, and, like, there was a ceiling at Indiana with Tom Allen. I think maybe, like, they think that could be higher now that they've made some new hires with that program, but, like, he wasn't going to make it to the playoff with Indiana when he was there. But he goes to a place like Washington, and Kalen DeBoer is a coach that, yeah, they got a couple guys in the portal, but they're also really good at recruiting. He's really good at developing talent, and it was just, like, the perfect fit for Michael Penix. So I thought he was also a super deserving candidate. I don't know. I really like the Heisman. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, this is so stupid. This is just, like, ceremonial, blah, blah, blah. Of course it is. That's, like, all of college football. I do think it should be an award that takes place after the national championship, though.
It absolutely should. Christian McCaffrey will always be my answer for, like, hey, it should happen after bowl games. Like, come on, be so serious right now.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson was my answer for that, but that didn't age well.
Who? I've never heard of him. Yeah, the Heisman is like it's what college football is. It's pompous. God, I really wish that they would just, hey, don't tune in until this time. Don't tell me it starts at 8. It doesn't start at 8.
It's like when they were announcing, like, the playoff finalists, I was like, all right, the show starts at 12. Just tell me when you're going to put the final 4 on, because it was like 12:30 when that happened. I could have spent that 30 minutes not sitting watching people just talk about stuff I've already heard every week for the last 8 weeks.
I'm like, where was the explanation of why Iowa punter Tory Taylor wasn't there? They didn't talk about anybody else who wasn't in the conversation.
Unanimous All-American.
Like, I think Iowa, Notre Dame, we were tied for most. Shout out us.
Joe Alt and Xavier Watts from Notre Dame.
Cooper DeJean.
All-Americans.
Tory Taylor.
Look at us!
Look at us! Look at us, better than everybody else. Except for we're not in the playoff.
We're going to be back with another segment of Gen CFB. After this break. I like that. A little air horn thing.
Thank you.
But also it was like a dog.
Yeah, it sounded way more like a dog. It was like, that was Georgia fans after losing to Alabama. It was like a real, like, oh.
Sad. Speaking of ESPN shows and analysts and people that talk on them, Kirk Herbstreit was the main character on Twitter this week because he posted a dissertation on the college football playoff, Lucy, and he was getting made fun of for it.
It was like, nothing he said was that particularly crazy. I mean, I didn't read it at first because this man, it was like very clearly like, I got PTSD flashbacks. So like when I was in college and I got dumped and I was like, I'm going to the fucking notes app. I'm going to go to the notes app. I'm going to write this. I'm going to get it all
I'm going to tell everyone how I feel.
He went to the notes app and typed out just this like giant like Michigan manifesto about why he thought or not even why he thought Alabama was better than Florida State, but just why he...
Is that what it was about? Because I'm going to be
so.
honest, I didn't read the whole thing either, which is why I think we should do a little bit of performance art here where we read this long-ass tweet back and forth, like line by line, alternating for the next 10 minutes, because I think that actually might be how long it takes.
It's very important that we do this. Before we start, little context. This was in response to a Florida State fan who had tweeted something mean at him. This Florida State fan had 30 followers. So that was really nice.
Also, the tweet was a reply to a picture of Kirk Herbstreit's dog.
Yeah, he was having a day, and we all have them. There are days where I want to do this.
Okay, so now for the dramatic reading of Kirk Herbstreit's very long tweet.
I wish we could turn the lights
about
down.
Yes, please give us some mood lighting for the next 8.5 minutes. This is going to take I hope people are ready. This is an audiobook. This counts as reading a book this week if you listen to this. Lucy, do you want to do the honors?
Okay, ready? We'll go sentence by sentence. I'll start off. Because Alabama is better.
Period.
So is Texas.
So is Michigan.
So is Washington.
So is Oregon.
So is Georgia.
I watch 10 to 15 games a week live from September, early December.
I think I'm allowed to have an opinion on who I think is better.
If FSU doesn't like it bits tell the conference commissioners to change the protocol to most deserving.
Until then, I and everyone else is certainly... I don't know if that's grammar's correct. Okay, sorry.
None of it
Until
is.
then, I and everyone else is certainly is allowed to give an opinion in a subjective discussion.
Don't like it, change it.
It's funny when FSU went ahead of the U in 2000 after Dorsey and the boys beat the Noles, and FSU went instead of a deserving Canes team to the BCS championship where they lost to Oklahoma. I didn't hear from all of you about the system being rigged, and it's not fair. There's no punctuation there.
You were big fans of the turnout back then, of course most of you, and this despicable lunatic fringe probably didn't even know about 2000 when the Noles got the benefit over a great Miami team.
Listen, man, I have always loved FSU going back to the 80s.
Bobby Bowden, the unis, the swag, the consistency, something about that brand I was always attracted to, and what happened with 5 to 6 teams having a shot at the playoff and the Noles being undefeated and left out sucks, but I have to give an opinion on who I think the best 4 teams are.
I'm not on the committee, I don't vote, I watch games, I analyze teams, and I give my take.
That's it.
And if you think I have an agenda or a motive, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it's wrong.
I love this sport and I care about it deeply, and I can't make everyone happy. I ask questions of the commissioners in the offseason to understand things clearly. Watch games and give my opinion. It was such a long sentence.
If it's for your team, you love me, and if it's against it, you hate me.
I wish it were different, and hopefully next year with 12 teams it will be.
I'm a huge fan of Coach Norvell and his team and wish Noles nothing but the best.
Boom.
We went through that pretty fast, and I know we thought it would take a long time, but that's because I thought there was going to be some
Punctuation. There was so many dashes.
I thought it was going to be like a comma in there every once in a while. There was not.
Man,
Kirk was just...
his job, I don't agree with everything Kirk Herbstreit says. I don't agree with anything that anyone says, except myself and my own brain. I have the only good takes.
The only right ones.
Just kidding. But actually, his job must be terrible because people yell at him no matter what he says.
And that's, I get it, because there are so many times I want to lose my mind on a fan, so I don't judge Kirk Herbstreit for responding. I do think he should have just, like, let's bring the kids limit back.
Put it in drafts, wait an hour, delete it.
Or, you know what, just go the simple, like, screw you. F off. We don't need to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was still beautiful. Thank you, Kirk.
I enjoy when people just lose it on random people replying to pictures of their dogs on Twitter, because I've been there.
Yeah.
Lucy, in other news, that was fun.
That was actually really fun. I quite enjoyed that.
We need to do, we did a little bit of role play with Pat Narduzzi earlier this season. We need to bring that back. We need to do a little bit more of this performance art. I enjoy it. There's been a ton of stuff, portal-related stuff happening the last couple weeks. You live by the portal, die by the portal, as I say. There's a ton of quarterbacks in the portal, out of the portal. Tyler Van Dyke, formerly of the University of Miami Hurricanes, is going to Wisconsin. Actually, Taylor, I've been meaning to ask you about this because he's going to Wisconsin, where Luke Fickell is the head coach, had struggled a lot this season with their new offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, who formerly was a offensive coordinator for the North Carolina Tar Heels. What are your thoughts on Phil Longo?
There was a lot of complaints with the Phil Longo offense and how it was very good from the 20 to the 20, but once teams kind of got condensed into the red zone and knew that Carolina couldn't really run the ball effectively, that was kind of the disconnect with the Phil Longo offense, because statistically, you look at the numbers he put up, they were always a top 25 scoring offense, a top 25 total offense, and he got Drake May to Carolina, he got Sam Howell to Carolina. So I do think he has shown the ability to get really good quarterbacks, but there are some hang-ups with his offense and the production that you get out of that.
Well, put Taylor on the spot, and he was ready for that.
Inside Carolina.
The thing we kind of briefly talked about earlier this year, the thing with Wisconsin is they are changing a little bit of their
identity.
long-standing Wisconsin identity by hiring Phil Longo and now bringing in Tyler Van Dyke to kind of run this offense, where Tyler Van Dyke was super successful his first year with Miami and then has really struggled, but he's also had 5,000 different offensive coordinators. He's had a different offensive coordinator every single year that he's played. So I don't think, and he was super injured this year. There was that report that his muscle on his calf was detached from the bone or something. It was disgusting. I don't know if you heard that during the Louisville game, but it was very yucky. But the main complaint I think about Wisconsin's offense this year was that it was this weird mixture of, identityless mixture of the things that Wisconsin kind of should be better at and wasn't, and didn't have really any sort of identity, for lack of a better term, and they also didn't really have a great experience with the quarterback that they got in the portal last year from SMU. So This is interesting. This is something to look at.
I will say, as an Iowa fan, I try to be nice. That I wasn't devastated when I saw that he was transferring to Wisconsin. I wasn't like, oh man, that's going to be a huge problem down the line. Wisconsin, like you said it perfectly, and Luke Fickell has come in and completely tried to change the identity of Wisconsin, which is crazy because, like, if you look at, like, Big Ten wins over the last 10 years, it's Ohio State, Michigan, and then it's always Wisconsin. They are, like, the most consistent team in college football. I understand, like, hey, we have the identity, and that's something that, like, Iowa fans struggle with as well, of, like, we want to be better than what we are. I think Wisconsin needs to get back to doing what they do best, and that's having huge offensive linemen. That's running the ball. You had, one of the best running backs in all of college football. Like, I don't know how much Tyler Van Dyke fits the system. I do know that they're not in the Big Ten West anymore, but I think he'll have a lot of problems with Big Ten defenses. But I hope he does well, except for against Iowa.
There's also Dylan Gabriel went to Oregon this past week. That's gonna be something to keep an eye out for. This is his third team that he's played against, but like he did very well at Oklahoma, I thought, and now he's going to be joining Dan Lanning's staff. Like I feel like Oregon, even though they lost both opportunities to beat Washington this year, like they're a bit of a darling. They've done a lot of good like NIL things. I think Dan Lanning is a coach that a lot of people like and want to see like succeed. And now Dylan Gabriel is going to be in the Big Ten, Lucy.
Oh, God.
Joining that Oregon team. Cam Ward, Kyle McCord, DJ Uiagalelei, and now Malik Murphy, all huge quarterback names, all in the portal. Riley Leonard transferred from Duke to Notre Dame. If you're a fan of storylines in college football, next year Notre Dame is playing Texas A&M at Kyle Field. Mike Elko, former Duke head coach, former Notre Dame defensive coordinator, playing against Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's head coach, who is now going to be coaching Duke's former quarterback, Riley Leonard. There's so many storylines here. It is going to be a fascinating, why is everyone talking about Duke this week? And that's why.
And it's going to be great. Jimbo Fisher's going to watch somewhere from his yacht that he's got with his buyout money. The big transfer portal news this weekend when Malik Murphy entered the portal, immediately my brain was like, he's going to Ohio State. He's going to Ohio State.
Reverse Quinn Ewers.
Something in my gut tells me he is going to Ohio State. I had the same feeling about Cade McNamara. Also, I knew Grayson McCall was going to go to NC State. Like, that just made the most sense in the world.
Yeah.
If you put all the NC State quarterbacks together for the last, 10 years, you just get Grayson McCall.
Yeah, they had also had a portal quarterback last year, Brandon Armstrong from Virginia, who was it didn't work out super well. Like, their offense wasn't great this year. They had a pretty good defense though, and they finished the season quietly. I would say 9-3, I think, which no, NC State was not on anyone's radar. But Grayson McCall has been in college football for 6 years at Coastal. Now is transferring not far to NC State to play in Raleigh. So,
one of the reports about Grayson McCall is he originally wanted to transfer to Carolina before Drake May was taking over as a starting quarterback, but the coaching staff was like, no, we're pretty confident with Drake May. So the Grayson McCall revenge game, it's already on the calendar, and he will beat North Carolina.
We're putting a future on that. I like that analysis from Taylor. My team's going to lose this game.
That's how I feel all the time.
That's how I feel, too. That Texas A&M game I was just talking about. Biggest portal news of the week, Louisville got a guy named Thor Griffith from Harvard. I just thought that was kind of cool.
Same level education.
Thor. Hey.
University of Louisville.
The
Ivy League of Kentucky.
Lucy, we're going to do more bowl picks next week because we should have done them this week. And then instead of doing any sort of homework yesterday, we baked cookies.
We did. Well, Jess baked cookies and then I put them on the paper.
We baked them together.
You baked them and I sat and I entertained and then I put them on the paper.
They were very good, though.
They were great.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
We should do that again.
We should do it again.
Hand girls.
All right, I think we're going to leave
with our hands.
Nope.
Oh, no, you're right. That's not good. We don't want that either. All right. Well, this has been fun. How much time do we have left, Taylor?
Oh, I can fill this.
Let's do should we do a rapid fire the first whatever bowl games?
Yes, do we want to do it at the same time?
Okay, yes, let's yell out our names on the count of 3. Okay, so the first game is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Georgia Southern and Ohio. 1, 2, 3. Georgia Southern. Okay, the second bowl is the New Orleans Bowl, Jacksonville State versus Louisiana. 1, 2, 3.
Jacksonville State.
Ah! the Cure Bowl, Saturday, Miami, Ohio, App State, 1, 2, 3. App State! Oh my God, 3 for 3. New Mexico Bowl, New Mexico State versus Fresno State, 1, 2, 3.
New Mexico State!
Oh my God! LA Bowl, Boise State versus UCLA, 1, 2, 3. Boise State! The Independence Bowl, Texas